open VS Code, and then oh yeah, open folder to the web starter. This one, select folder. Now I will always use this module as reference, and so basically all the codes are provided here. So you can just copy paste if you don't want to type. But yeah, I think it's a great thing if you type because it will help you remember the concept. And yeah, actually programming is about active recalling. So if you just passively watch, yeah, you will understand, but at the end probably it's not really uh, uh it's, it's not it doesn't stick with in your mind. So for the way it's located here, I will leave this one to the web app. Oh yeah, this is the starter file. So you are provided with the views file here, so you don't need to worry about that at the moment. So it's basically a bunch of HTML. Now let's go here. So what is Node.js? Well, some of you probably have heard about JavaScript. And before dive into Node.js, I will introduce you about JavaScript first. Now, people sometimes get confused between Java and JavaScript. So actually, they are two distinct instances. So it's like you compare a car to a carpet. So that's actually the joke that I found on internet when I research the differences between Java and JavaScript. So JavaScript is you use for writing scripts to make a web interactive. So if I go here, for example, so and I tap this drop down that uses JavaScript. Now, initially, JavaScript could only be used inside the browser. So inside the browser only. But now, and in 2009, Ryan Dahl took advantage of Chrome's JavaScript engine. Okay, sorry for the stop. Okay, I'll continue. So in 2009, he basically somehow made it available for running JavaScript outside the browser. So now the JavaScript can be used for server side. Now, not only for server side, but JavaScript, if you it can be all can also be used for writing mobile application. An example that I know is like Genius app, which is an app here. So this uses JavaScript or React Native. So it's quite powerful now in JavaScript. And if you know Discord, it uses JavaScript too. They use something called Electron.js. So yeah, everything is JavaScript now. That's insane. All right. So enough for the introduction. So let's initialize a Node.js project. Go back to VS Code and then pull up the terminal. You can use any your favorite terminal. So to make it the same, I'll change it to command prompt like this. So to initialize the Node.js project, type npm init and then hit enter. So npm, what is npm? Npm is a node package manager. Node package manager where you can access all the dependencies in node npm website. Basically, you can leave some of this blank, 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 and author probably you want to fill that out with your name, for example, Ilham. For my case, for license, just leave it blank, and if this okay, and hit enter. So yeah, that's all. That's easy. And then so you will see the package.json. This is like the configuration of our starter file. And to next step is, let's see, we need to running our first server. Now we will use something called Express. I'll show you Express npm. All right, I use wait bicycle, but that is one Express. So this is what I mean by npm, not package manager. So this is the web framework, minimalist web framework. And if you see here, 13 million downloads weekly. So people basically rely on this framework, and we will use that one. So to install that, and if you go to this website, how to install this, you will see npm install Express. So it's going to download all the dependency, and you'll see that node modules folder showing up, right? So this consists of the Express framework that we downloaded. So now you might be wondering, what is framework? Well, framework is like the easiest thing that I can think of is like it's like a code that somebody has written, and the framework forces you to use their style. So you need to obey to their rule of writing code. So that's all the stuff. And then so to create a file, new file, and then we will type add app.js. So app.js. And as I said earlier that JavaScript could only be run inside the browser, but now so that to prove that I can run JavaScript code outside the browser, I'll type hello world, and then I'll clear the screen. So to run the this JavaScript, type node app.js, and then oh wait, hold up, I forgot to save the file. Node app.js, and it spits out hello world, so it runs outside the browser. Now going back to the module, so you can open this module so that you don't need I will not type all of this. I mean, instead of you watching me typing the code, I will just explain instead. So I'll copy this file. I mean the code. Paste over here. So what it does here is that it requires the express and then run the function. So when you see this parenthesis, it says creates an express application. So it runs the function so that we can use this app, and then we listen app.listen. Now this 3000 is a port. Now if you know that HTTP uses port 80, and HTTPS uses port 443. So if you go to google.com, implicitly you type 443. That's the port that the google.com listening to. See? Wait, oh, not this one. Wait, 443 google.com. Google.com. I don't know why this doesn't work. Google.com. Okay, I think just ignore that one. So basically, google.com HTTPS uses, if I'm not mistaken, it's 443, I think. Yeah, maybe I made a mistake there. So yeah. And then this function, we pass the function to this listen method, and basically what this is called callback. What it does is that when we hit this port, this code will run, this function will run. So to do that, node app.js. Wait, I forgot to save. Yeah, node app.js. So it's a server created. Now I can go to localhost 3000. So we cannot get this route. It's a good thing at the moment, but don't worry this yet. It means that our server is running, but the problem is that we don't have this route yet. So later we will fix that. Now if we stop the server by typing Control C, we refresh again. So it's loading. Basically, the server the site can't be reached. Yeah, and then so the next stuff is basically we will learn to add global packages. Now, global, what is global basically? Global, and so when you install npm install, when you type npm install express, you install it locally. It only exists here. But when you want to install globally, you need to add -g here, the flag -g. So now it says instead of typing node in the app.js repeatedly to run the server, so what I mean is like I need to stop the server and I need to run it again. Instead of doing that, we will install nodemon, or some people call it nodemon. So it will automatically restart the node app when the file changes in the directory. So we will install that. Just copy this word, npm install -g nodemon. I've actually already installed this nodemon, but I'll install it again. So after you've done that, run nodemon app.js. So it says watching, basically it watches the changes here. So for example, if I change like server created with the exclamation point like this, and I hit save, it's going to restart the server. So it's a server created. Yeah, so that's the node daemon or node whatever you want to call it. Next stuff is getting to know with MongoDB. Now, what is actually MongoDB? Testing one. So basically, MongoDB is document like database. So that if you, I think some of you are familiar with SQL database like MySQL, Postgres, or something like that. That's a SQL database. It uses like table structure, but for MongoDB, it it's under the category of NoSQL. It's not table. So if you go to Google, I will show you how it looks like. If you know JSON, so JSON, this is how the structure of the MongoDB looks like. It's like it's like this. It's like node. It's like a JSON. It's not like table or like that. So this is how it looks like. And then so it's I think it's much easier for you to see this instead of seeing the table. So yeah, the next step is to install another one. So basically, we will install a bunch of stuff because we will require some of the dependencies. So we will install Mongoose. Now Mongoose is like, you can think of it like a bridge between your app and MongoDB, the actual MongoDB database. So it's like you want to use that bridge so that you can easily, for example, add or save file or save data to your database. So when you use Mongoose, it's much easier. So to do that, in PM, I have to stop the server by hitting Control C. Hit one. So npm install Mongoose. So it will install Mongoose. So it's done. It's very fast. Now, how eh, how yeah, you might be wondering, how do I know all of this code? Well, you guys, if you go to Node.js website, uh, it has like a documentation. So I don't really remember this stuff, but because why do you need to remember the stuff that is available on the internet so you can just retrieve easily from internet, so no need to memorize all of this. So the next step is we need to create a model. So model, create a folder, model. So model, we will name it as to-do because we will create a to-do app. To-dos JS, to-dos.js, and type the below code into to-dos.js. So it's basically the same thing. It's quite repetitive, and so you will see like the pattern easily here. First thing, you need to require the dependency itself. For this case, Mongoose. And then for this one, we will define the schema. schema like the JSON file, the JSON picture that I showed you. So we define that. So we will only put like name here, only one. If I convert it like into SQL or table, it only has like one column, which is name. And the type of this is string. String is basically a text. And then for this one, we export it so that we can use it in another file. So because we will use this in another file, and we define this model and we give it a name. Now, interestingly enough, you have to give the name in a singular, not plural. Like you don't need to type like to dos, because automatically, if you it will convert it to plural. So the best part of this is like, for example, if you just type car, if you want to type car here, no need to add an s. And yeah, later basically this will be a collection. Okay, so maybe if I'm being too fast, just stop me where the part that you don't understand. All right, so copy paste this, paste over here, and yeah, to just save. It will automatically like refactor your code. So if your code messed up like this, when you hit save, it's going to refactor that. Now, if you don't see that one, go to the setting. You will see like format on save, save like this. Format on save. Just check this one. And then the next part is that we need to include it in app.js file. So that we will have to connect that to MongoDB database. Now, wow, you see this code. Now this code is available on the documentation, okay? And then, so you don't need to be terrified of all of this, because I believe like even like some senior programmers, they still have to refer to documentation. So yeah, cons. We just copy this one. What it does is actually typical, very repetitive, requiring Mongoose. Now, this one is we will connect that one, the Mongoose, to our MongoDB with this following URL. Now, the name should be to do app. Okay, you can actually name it whatever you want, not like necessarily to do app. Not it should. Okay, cons. Copy that one. Now I will just paste over here. Let's say. So I will put the mongoose up here. So yeah. Now what this does is that it just a pending connection to the database. Now to check whether we connect it to the database successful or not, we'll just add this code. Okay, db. We take the object here, mongoose, and we call this connection, so that we have this on error. When it's an error, we pass this code. So basically this is just a fancy way of printing out console.log connection error with the error uh, like error tag, if you will. So copy this file, and then mongoose, so paste over here. So let's try that. Let's try. Node daemon app.js and hit enter. Whether we connected to the database or not. Oh yeah, it says database connected. Okay. So anyone has a question or got a problem so far? So continuing our code. So after we write the above code and are we don't have any problem at all, and it says database connected. Now if you don't see the database connected, just ask in the chat. Our team or I will help you basically. This one. Okay, next continue. This one. Fonts to do require. We will basically require the model that we created. So I will type that fonts. So this one, we name it as to do. So this is an object require dot slash model slash to do's. Now you might be wondering what this dot means. Well, this dot is referring to our current directory, which is this to the web starter. So it's like this is a relative path, because if we don't put this dot, it's going to show actually an error when we run it, because we don't know that where we don't know where we should begin tracking this file. Yeah, and then so next part is add to do. So we will add this. I will just copy this file due to the time constraints. Instead of you watching me typing, I'll just explain this. Okay, I'll paste over here. So this to do, what it does is actually create a to do, and with the data inside of it, this one name, the property of our basically the name of our document, if you will, is name, and then it's filled with learn web development at 5 p.m. When we try that, uh, it's going to be saved in our database. Now to check that in MongoDB, go to the command prompt. Mongo use a to-do app, so it's gonna switch to to-do app, and then show collections. So that's the collection to-dos. So and then to see what is inside the collection is db dot the name of the collection, find curly bracket to find all of them. So if you see, this is the data inside of to this collection. We have an ID, and then this automatically generated, and this one the name and the value of the name. So this is like the key, and this is the value. So I think that's all for this case. And This is, well, okay. Okay, before we take a break, I will explain to you about templating engine. Now, EJS is basically a templating engine that allows you to render data. Now, if you dynamically, if you have like a plain HTML, you can't really do anything. It's like static. It's like it will not change. But when you're using a templating engine, it allows us to render data because as you can see that we delete data, right? We add the data, and the web page should be updated. So we use this EJS. We actually can embed or use JavaScript instead of this HTML when we are using EJS. So that's why EJS stands for Embedded JavaScript. Now, if you go here, provided you with the predefined, not predefined, but like I've already prepared you the web page and the styling. So this one, I basically use Bootstrap. Bootstrap is a framework, CSS framework, or HTML, JavaScript framework, so that you don't need to worry about the styling. You can just go put like a class, the class name inside of the HTML. So for example, this one, this is the navbar. It's going to be a navbar, and the navbar dark, it will make the navbar of this dark. So I don't have, if you see here, I don't have any CSS file at all. But because of the Bootstrap, so it helps me to quickly like create a like sort of prototype, this one. And even like most of website now use Bootstrap. It's a very famous framework. So yeah, you can well, if you want to learn Bootstrap, actually what you need to do is you need to remember all of this. That's all you need to do. You don't need to have like a good logic or whatever. You just need a creativity and uh, a good memory. So yeah, so I have partial here. Instead of it, we have footer and header. So because why I separated this out, because uh, in our home page and to-do list page, we always have this navbar, right? So it's a bit redundant if we put all of the header here. Instead, I just include this header so that it's not repetitive. So it's reusable. That's what I was trying to explain. It becomes reusable. So yeah, here is for the edit page, and this is for the home, and then this is for the index. So I think before, okay, okay, 1 second. Okay, so okay, last step before we take a break. Uh, yeah, we need to install EJS. Yeah, because we need to install that. Control C, Y, yep, npm install EJS, npm install EJS. So it's done in installing, and later. Okay, I think I'll stop here first. So later, next we will learn about routing. and how the request and response cycle works. We will learn about the REST, and we will learn how to dynamically render the data into our page here. And then, yeah, and then we learn about HTTP verbs, and that's all. So we will have a 10 minutes break. Okay, thank you. Okay, I hope you guys are all ready to continue the workshop. And so previously, we've installed EJS, right? EJS, the templating engine. So our first objective for the second session is that we need to make the route work. Okay, so uh, first thing first, you need to know the request and response cycle. Now, because later we will work with that. If you see here, we have rec and res. That basically stands for request. This one basically stands for response. Now, I basically quoted from internet here. It traces how the user's request flows through the app. For example, if you go to the portal, basically what you're doing is like you are asking the server, you request the server to look for the resources, and then the server basically sends an HTTP response to client, and then inside of it is basically like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and server sends those bunch of files, and then your browser, what happens is that uh, your browser renders it so that it displays something like this, google.com. Yeah, so the browser does all of this. So next step is first basic routing. So we will learn how to integrate the three pages that I provided to you. So we need to set our template engine first. We have installed EJS, so we need to set that. So we go to here, app.js. Below this, we say you can actually put anywhere. I'll put over here app.set view engine, and then EJS. What it does is actually it set the view templating engine to EJS, and it will automatically look for views folder. So if your folder is not views, you need to change that because it won't work. You need to, if you have another file, another folder name, you need to configure that. So just stick with the views name. And then next is that we need to have a get this. So this is a route, the root route. So we define the root route here, and then with the we pass the function to this get method, get. So before that, I will explain to you about the HTTP verbs. So you have get, post, put, delete, and what it does actually, get retrieves data from server, post submits data to the server, put updates data entirely on the server, delete is self-explanatory, so yeah, it deletes the data on the server. Now, why do we have all of this? And if there is a change that if you learn like PHP, using PHP, and you use like pure PHP, no framework, there is a chance that you will do this. So you have like site.com, your website.com, and this add to do.php, for example, it will add that. It will add the to do item, and you have another page like delete underscore to do. So instead of doing that, we just expose the to do's endpoint here, the to-dos resource, and then we use the following different verbs to modify whatever this URL is. So that is called REST. Now, if you have ever heard the term REST API or like yeah, REST API or something like that, that's basically this. Okay. It stands for representational state transfer. Fancy name, but it actually like a standard used by web app to apply the CRUD pattern. So it's actually a standard. Now you have a term REST and RESTful. So REST actually the standard, and RESTful is the web services or web that applies the REST standard. So that's the differences. And this is not wrong. It's actually not wrong. I mean, yeah, it's valid, and this is just another like let's say like a style. Yeah, so REST, that's REST. Okay, go back here. We will add the get route. I mean get root route. So copy paste, or if you want to watch me type like app to get, we define the route. This is the slash route, which means the root, like at the very beginning route. So we pass the function or res, and then we take the response object res dot render, and then what we will render is that this index no home.ejs is home, right? Okay, home. No need to put like .ejs because you have already set the view engine, and semicolon. Actually, semicolon in JavaScript here is like optional, but I like to add that since I come from Java. So if we, and then another route, app dot get to-dos. So this is the to-dos function, correct? Res the render, and then index. Now in the navigation bar, I've already set the link. So home to this home.ejs and to this to the index.ejs. So when we hit this route, basically it will render this home.ejs. So let's try that. Node daemon app.js, and we go here. Previously you see this, right? Cannot get this route, this root route. So now you'll see this page. Now you'll see this page. And if you go to this to-dos route, to-dos path, it shows this index.ejs file. So it renders that. And then okay, so that's all. That's very, very basic routing. Next step is next level of routing. We will use this post and then put and then delete. So firstly, we will work mainly with this to-dos or this index.ejs file, so that we will, when we type this, we will add this to this whatever the value to our database. But when we click this submit, it says cannot post because we don't have this route yet. So yeah, next step is we will add this route. Okay, this is so many code, but don't worry. So basically, why don't we just type this first? App.post, the post method, because we want to submit data to the server. We use post, right? And then we define the route. Notice that the route is the same to do's, not like add to do's like this. So this route. And then we pass the function, correct, and the rest. Yes, any question? Anyone got question or what? So, okay, let's continue. So I will explain this. Uh, so what this does actually, we will, because we use form. If you go here in index.js, I commented with add the field. So when we need to basically define the route here or the path to use like this. So you go to the index.js, we define the path to introduce, and we define the method as post. So, and then I have this name with name. It's a bit confusing actually. It's like this is the name of the key. You can actually change it to like title like that, so that later we will catch the title instead. But I give it the name as a name. Yeah, I know it's confusing. So basically what this does, it will send the value here. Oh, not this one. Oh, what? Okay. Inside of the field to the Node.js server, and then we will catch that. However, wait, hold up. However, I provided this because when you send from the form, it's encoded with the encoding type is application URL encoded. So Node.js doesn't know like how I get the body because it can be parsed. So that's why we need a body parser to basically decode that one. So we just copy this file, app.use, go back to the update.js, because without this configuration, there will be an error. It cannot destructure. It can find the name. So we need to add that. We put over here. So basically the body. Okay. Before I explain that, in request and response, you have like header and body. So inside the body, usually when it can consist like HTML or stuff like that, or even JSON or like a plain text. So but this one, it will consist of like key value, if you will. So we will go back here. So we will cons name and then is equal to rec dot body. We get the request and we access the body, and then inside the body it has a name, okay, because we define that here, name, and that name contains the whatever value inside the field. So yeah, that's basically the body. And then the next part is that this is the part where we save to database. Okay, so we need to uh, add this, and then we save. So this, what is this, like dot and then dot, another dot? This is this is called like of method chaining, if you will, method chaining. In JavaScript, you have like a promise, basically a concept of promise. When basically this will, it can, when we do this, right? When we save, it can be fail or it can be successful. It depends. So that's why we need to have like this scenario. It's like a try catch, I think, if you learn in Java. So when you do this, then we pass the good scenario. When we do this, when there's an error, we catch that error and we send the blank response. So that's all for this one. So we paste that right here, and then so you get to do, if you forget, you get to do from here, because you created this model, right? You to do, you pass the name, and inside of name it contains the value. For example, like going to Changlun, something like that. And then so this is, we pass the function, and it will print out to do item edit, and then it will basically redirect to the to-dos route here. Okay, so I think that's all for this post method, I mean. So let's try that. Refresh. Learn, let's say learn Java on Tuesday. Submit. Wait, it doesn't change. Why? Well, because we haven't configured that one yet. But if we take a look in our database, go to Mongo, use to do app, and then a db.todos.find curly bracket. Wait, what? And yeah, okay. Learn Java on Tuesday. This is the one that we just type over here. So basically the post method works. Okay. Now why do we have multiple this? I think it's because, oh yeah, this one. We just delete this const add to do because it's not required anymore. So yeah, it's successfully saved in our database. The next part is that we will show all the to-do items. And then so initially, previously, right, we have this to-dos route, get route up here. This one, not this one, this one, to-dos. It just rendered this index file. But what we need to do now, we will modify that route, this route, so that we have this. So what happens that when we open this to-do list page, we won't the table to be updated. How do we do that? Well, it's easy. You have Now we will only work with the response because there is no request. I mean, there is no data that we are concerned. So we will work with REST, right? REST. And then, so this one to do dot find. So this is the same syntax that I basically showed you. To do dot find dot then. So when this is successful, basically this will output the to-dos, all the to-dos inside of this database, like this one. It will output all this as to-dos variable. Now, instead of only rendering without the data, now we pass the data to our index. So let's do that. This one is I've already explained to you basically the same thing. So you see the pattern, right? And other routes will be quite the same. So it's a bit repetitive actually. Now I will paste here. Wait, I need to oh wait, not this one because we need to modify. So change this to this. Oh, I duplicated that. So what I need to do actually, I have to copy only inside the function. To this right here. Maybe I will give it a name like show home page, and then show all to-do items, and then this one add to-do item. Yeah. Wait, what? Still the same. Okay. So when we okay. So I said that we pass the data to our index file, right? And if you see here, go to the to-do list table. Now I've already commented this file. This is where we dynamically display data to the table, and this is still static. And if we go here, down here, what we need to do is we need to replace with this code. However, we need to have a for loop. Now this is the syntax. So we just copy that one. Copy for. You need to have this tag because this is a special tag from EJS. If you go to the EJS website, EJS embedded JavaScript, you see different tags here. So this one, it outputs the value to HTML. Okay. So this is for the script without any like additional sign. So what we need to do, we basically copy this path, copy this code, and replace it here. Now we will add, because to do item can be like 1,000. So it will, if there are 1,000 to do items, it will basically loop for 1,000 times. If there are 5, it will loop for 5 times, and each of them is unique because they have their own for example, they have their own ID. The name can be the same, but the ID cannot be the same. So this one, we use this tag left arrow % equal equal tag, and then percent right arrow. So we type to do dot name, right? See, it's the same, to do dot name. And then for this one, we will, because we have a delete and edit, right? So this one, why don't we just uh what happens is that we will go to this route, and we basically take the ID for each of the to do, and we use that ID to find in the database, and then delete that one, because remember, the ID is unique. So for this route, we use this one, and then so we pass the route here for delete. Now I'll explain about this later. And then for the edit, this route. So yeah, that's all set. Now let's now this is, I need to add something here. If there is no to do item, then show something. Now if you go down here, you can also see, you just copy and paste this code. So if basically what this is saying is like, if there is no to do item, if to do's size to do, if there it has no to do, then we print out this one. If you see this exclamation point, it negates this one. Okay, so paste this one, and then yeah, paste right here. All right, it's all good. I think so. See, if we refresh, yeah, we see the value, the data inside of the database. So for example, go to mountain, and it's added down here because it's dynamic now. It's dynamically you know dynamically rendered. Okay, there are two more, basically almost done, guys. We're almost there. So next part is we will learn, wait, not this one. Okay. Delete is very easy. However, since if you know that HTML form, this one, form a form does not have a method of delete, so we will use another dependency, so that it will make the server think that the request comes from a delete method, because it only has like get and post. Okay, so yeah, the client doesn't support it. We use this package method override. So I know this is a lot to take in, but at least you guys are exposed to this. Yeah, npm install method override. So we install that one. So we add the following code to our app. So this, once again, it will make the server think that the request coming from delete or put a method. So we paste that over here. So yeah, if you're done copy pasting it, then you're good to go. So we use this, we use this one. Okay, hold up. Okay, let's continue. All right. So just drop questions if you are confused. Okay, and then so another route is to do ID. So remember that here, if you see in the when basically what this code does, just show you the next one. It will, when we click the button, it will go to the route so that we will delete this, and this is the route. So we define that here since it sends also the ID. Okay, I'll demonstrate that. For example, I click this trash bin. Wait, what? Oh, I forgot to run the server. No daemon app.js. So if you see to do's and with this ID. So basically we want to take the this ID and then we want to find the item inside the database so we can delete that one. Okay, so you use this code, just copy and paste. So what it does, we add the colon here because the colon, what this means is like ID can be different, right? Each of them is unique. Each of them is unique. So to get the data here inside of the URL, we use the parameters, or in other words, parameters. So we use this code, and when we use this code, it will take this whatever in URL that is unique, right? So that's what it does, and then we call the to-do object, and you call this method find by ID and delete. So it will try to find ID, and then when it's successful, item will be deleted, and it will be redirected to this route, the get route. So the get method, I mean, so this one. So yeah, just copy paste. Okay, all right. And then copy paste, put it down here, and then let's try if it works or not. Okay, go back to to-dos. Let's remove all of this learn web development at 5 p.m. Deleted, I believe. Does it say deleted? Oh yeah, it says item deleted, so it's successful. Deleted. Now if you see on the database, db.to to define, yeah, it's same, right? Only 2 are left. So yeah, that's for delete. It's easy. And then the next part is the last part, guys. So we need to be able to edit the item. So to edit an item, because we have a get route, meaning what is means that we need to get the form, because you remember get is to retrieve only the data. So what it does, since okay, maybe I will show you when I click this button, blue button. It says yeah, get to do's and this with the ID and edit. Now, this one, same. You have the colon, meaning it's dynamic. The value can be various, so you can it can be anything, because so we need to get that one, get the ID using rec.params. So this is the code, and then we use this method to do that find by the ID. We pass the ID so that we tell the database, hey, find this to do item using this ID. So if you find it, then please give me the detail, and after you give me the detail, I will pass the uh, the item to our edit. Okay, edit EJS. So that's all. And this one, if there's an error, send this HTML. That's all. So we need to copy that. We paste over here, down here. Save. So yeah. Now I don't put any of this, but to show you that you can actually put an HTML. So for example, if this route is wrong, oops, there is an error, because the MongoDB database cannot find this data item. Okay, then we go to the edit, and then since we pass data into our edit.ejs, we need to put value, because when we open that, we need to put the value. So to do EJS, meaning percent, and then percent, right arrow, equal to do dot name, I guess. Let's try if it works or not. And then, yeah, it works. And if I go here, it works because the this one is unique. So when we are in this edit page, we want actually to send a put method. Remember, put is for modifying resources on the server. So basically, this is quite the same as post. And if you notice here, you need to add this route, and I haven't added anything yet to it. So you need to add to-dos with the ID, not this one, but an ID. I edit ID. That's all. That's all we need to do. But since we are in EJS file, so we need to dynamically put the ID using EJS. So percent equal, and then name to-do.id to.id, and we add a question mark, and then method to basically deceive the server, to make the server think, oh, this comes from put request, when it's actually from post. Okay, method. So this one is put. So yeah, after we've done that, so when we hit this button, edit button, it will send the data, the value inside of this field to our server with this route, and the method is put. Yeah, conceptually is put. So go back here. So when we hit the put route, I mean put to-dos ID route. So what happens is that it will basically we pass the function here. So when we hit this route, this function will be called. That's why it's called callback. If you have ever heard of the term callback, so it will call this function, and then you pass this rec.params, because remember params, params means we want to take the whatever in URL here, that is colon. So we take that, it gives us the ID, and then we also want to access the body, the request body, because remember an HTTP response consists of header and body, and inside of the body consists of the data. So we get the name, and then what happens is that we call the to do object, we call the method find by ID and update, and we pass the ID here. We pass the ID so that the MongoDB database will try to find data that matches with this ID, and then we pass the updated value. So this is the updated value. So we pass the name, and now you need to pass with the curly bracket because it's an object. So whatever when you see basically in JavaScript, when you see curly brackets, it's considered like an object. So when it's successful, we just redirect to this route, and then if there is an error, then we just basically end the response. Not end the response, but basically sends this HTML. So okay, so we just copy and then paste up on the app.js, copy and paste, hit save. So this one I've already explained to you. I will add a comment. This one will be update, not update the product, update to do item. So let's try. Hopefully it's going to work now. Learn Java. Okay, I will edit that. And learn, for example, Python. Just they edit. So it changes in our uh, index EJS file. So if we see and in our database, see it changes too. So yeah, congratulations, we basically have created the CRUD web app. CRUD is create, read, update, and delete using these verbs. So yeah, if you have any question, just ask us in the group, or yeah. So I think what else? Okay, yeah. So basically, we've covered like how to create a route using these different HTTP verbs, and then we've learned how to connect to database, MongoDB database, and we learn how to dynamically render data. So basically we've learned a lot of stuff. Now, if you need to if you need to revise this, go ahead. Because this module is free out there. You can download it. So yeah, I think that's all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so anyone have any question before we go to the photo session? If not, then we can do the photo session. So everyone can everyone open the webcam or the camera just for 5 minutes to take the photos. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so
Please.
do we want to wait 5 minutes for them to prepare? So anyone else want to open the webcam?
Yeah, come on, guys. Don't be shy.
So I think we can start the photo session. So everyone get ready. I will count to three. 1, 2, 3. Wait, what? One more time. 1, 2, 3. All right. So that's all for the workshop today's. Thank you for joining. We hope you learned something new. So yeah, thank you for joining.